Hey there everybody, it's Thorpian, but before we start today's video, I wanted to say something that some of you might need to hear. It was just Thanksgiving for people here in the States, and that means that a lot of people got together with their family, which can be a stressful time for a lot of people. So whether you did or didn't see your family this past week, maybe you recently heard something from a family member or a loved one that hit you harder than they intended, or, as hard as they intended. Either way, I just wanted to start this video by telling you that you are not a failure, that you matter, that there is more to you than whatever was said to you, and that there's more to you than any troubles or hurt that you're feeling. Now, if you did hear something hurtful from your family, I encourage you to put it in the comments below, and I'll reply with something encouraging. Anonymously, of course, I'm not trying to start any fights on YouTube. If you don't want to share publicly or don't feel comfortable, but you still want to hear a word of encouragement, send me a Discord message. I'll reply. Anyway, on to the video itself. So, recently, I was informed that there is a way of making money on your private island. So this is my private island. As you can see, I've got a lot of farms, and I'm actually building a new farm up here. Now, this is going to be a mycelium farm. You might be wondering how that could possibly make money. Well, if we look at the bazaar price of mycelium, we'll see that it's about 40 each, or about 7K for an enchanted mycelium. Now, why is it going up so high? Because corrupt soil is probably the #1 minion upgrade, and some of the best money-making minions will utilize corrupt soil to make most of that money. So I decided to build a mycelium farm, and I'm going to tell you how you can build one too. So we're going to go ahead and do this in sections. So the first thing to keep in mind when you're building a mycelium farm is that you're going to want to build it at sky limit or close to sky limit. I actually don't like doing it all the way up because you tend to get these weird like glitches when you're flying up here. Nobody enjoys that. Yeah, see, like exactly like that. So anyway, the idea is that you want to build this giant dirt platform up here, and you want to seed it with mycelium. So mycelium will spread whenever the light level is appropriate. So it's got to have a light level of greater than 9 in the block above it. If you make it daytime on your island, you can actually make it permanent daytime with a day saver. That'll allow the mycelium to spread. Now, the key here is that you're going to want to do this first, because this way, while you're building the rest of the farm, it'll just kind of spread. Okay, so we're going to let this mycelium spread, and we're going to get started on building the farm itself. So this farm is going to utilize the fact that mycelium will spread downwards 3 blocks in the appropriate light level. So how we're going to start it is we're going to make sure that we are going to maintain a seed dirt. So we're going to have this wall here be dirt that is covered with a solid block. If it's covered with a solid block, then mycelium won't spread to that block, and we'll be able to keep it as dirt and thus refill the farm later on. So what you're going to do is from your top layer, you're going to go down 3 blocks, and you're going to place dirt with a solid block. I chose quartz above it in this pattern. So space, block, dirt, space, block, dirt, and so on and so forth. You can make as many layers as you want. I think I did 5 to start. We'll see if that works. It should be pretty close to infinite at that point. And you're going to want to make your farm exactly 165 blocks long. And I'll explain why in a little bit, but you're going to want at least one of the directions to be exactly 165 blocks long. So that's 164 plus your 1 seed dirt block. You can also have seed dirt blocks on this side, but it's not actually necessary as long as you have them on one side. And same thing over here with this wall I have yet to build. You can have seed dirt blocks, but you don't need them, and chances are I actually won't have them on this side. So next up, let's talk about lighting. Lighting is very important for this farm because mycelium is able to spread anywhere to when it has a light level of at least 9, and it can spread to dirt when that dirt has a light level of at least 4. So in theory, if we were to place a block of dirt here, it would have a light level of 4. Mycelium could spread from above down onto the dirt, but if it only had a light level of 4, no mycelium would be able to spread from this mycelium to this dirt, which decreases the rate of the spread. So we're going to make sure that all of our blocks are able to have a light level of 9 above them. And in order to do that, we are going to place glowstone every 10th block. So conveniently, you'll have negative 73 for the x, for example, in the coordinates, negative 63, and so on. So you can just count over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then the glowstone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, glowstone. And that'll allow you to have the appropriate light level for all of your glowstone blocks. So I'm going to go ahead and start filling in just the top layer of glowstone. And I'll show you why just the top layer once I start doing the next layer, because there's a quick and easy trick in order to be able to do it faster. All right, so now we've gone ahead and we finished all our glowstone on the top level. So now, in order to expand it as quickly as possible, we're going to do some tricks with the Builder's Wand and the Block Zapper. So first off, I'm going to need more glowstone because I ran out. All right, and I might actually even need more than that, to be honest. So we're going to buy another load. Yes, there are some cheaper ways to get glowstone. No, I will not be using them because ain't nobody got time for that. All right, so here's the idea. So if you use the Builder's Wand on the bottom of the glowstone, it's going to say that it's going to build however many blocks are actually loaded, but it will build all the way across. So in my case, as you can see, it'll build 164. And then we're going to do that 1, 2, 3 times, and boom, we've built down to our next glowstone layer. So now, because we have exactly 164 blocks, which is the range of the block zapper, and is very important to the farm in general, what we can do is we can zap exactly 164 blocks. So we zap 164 blocks, and because of the way the block zapper works, you are going to zap one whole row. Now, it's really important that you set up your rows in the way that the block zapper is going to work. So in this case, it seems to be doing it north-south. So for example, if we try to do it east-west, it'll attempt to go north-south first. So it's very important that you build your farm oriented in order to zap things in the north or south direction. Either one's fine. So boom, we zapped another set of blocks. And when we come over here, you'll see that hopefully it'll be perfect. We might be one block off. Nope, exactly perfect. So we'll just go ahead and we'll build the next one. So 1, 2, and I do have enough glowstone for 3. And then we'll just zap them again. And there we go. It's the easiest way to fill in this glowstone. So I'm going to go ahead and do this for the rest of the farm. Okay, so now we've gone ahead and we filled in the glowstone. So next up is going to be a very easy step, but there's going to be a small caveat. So we're just going to fill in this dirt that we've already set up and is ready to fill in. However, one key thing to note is that when you're using the Builder Wand, you won't be able to fill in dirt if it turns to mycelium. So as you can see, we have a pretty large amount of mycelium up here, and if I was to try to Builder Wand the dirt, it won't carry over. So we need to make sure that the mycelium doesn't spread while we're using the Builder Wand. And the way we're going to ensure that is because we've made it on the top level and we haven't put any light sources up there, all we need is a night saver. So we're going to use this very rarely used night saver item, and we're just going to place it down on our island. It doesn't matter what time of night it is, but the night will prevent the light level from reaching the top block, and therefore we will not be having the issue of mycelium trying to spread while we rebuild the farm or replant the farm, or, well, in this case, do it for the first time. So we're just going to go ahead and build up our dirt all the way across. Hey guys, so something I noticed about these light blocks on the edge here is that they're actually reaching with their light up and around and lighting up these blocks, which is causing the mycelium to spread when we don't want it to. So we're going to go ahead and make a wall on this first layer here. And this one is also spreading around, so we're going to go ahead and try to cut it off. So let's see if we can count exactly how many blocks. So 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9. So we need to break one more mycelium from our top in order to solve this issue. Or what you can do is leave some space in your farm, which unfortunately I did not. We're right up against the world limit, and just close this off here. So this is the alternative. Sorry, up in this one. You're just going to close this off so that the light from this glowstone only goes inside the farm and not up and around to the top. Alrighty, our farm is completely set up. As you can see, because of that little around the corner light issue, we've got quite a bit of mycelium growing, but we're going to speed it up a lot by switching over to the day saver. So now it will be daytime, and all of this mycelium up here will be able to spread. And you'll see that we will very quickly begin to fill in all these other spots. So what you're seeing here is going to be mostly horizontal spread because the vertical spread is going to take its time to come down. But as you can see, our first layer is filling up quite nicely, and I don't think it'll take more than about 5 minutes for it to fill up, but let's go ahead and time it just to see. Now remember, we are timing it without a completely filled upper layer because, well, this also takes time and it wasn't done yet. So, all right, so let's time it and see how long it takes. All right, guys, so here we go. It's about 10 to 15 minutes later. That's about how long the farm takes to fully spread. Now, again, note that we didn't have the top layer fully ready, but it is now fully complete, except for these 5 spots here. But anyway, it's pretty close. So that'll help it spread faster in the future. But the big kind of thing now is to show you how to farm it. So the one thing that I did that was different is I cut it in half. And that'll be so that we can replant one side while the other side is mycelium spreading. It's important to have a kind of barrier block here so that it can't spread from here to here, because otherwise that'll mess up your dirt wanding, as I mentioned before. So in order to do this farm repeatedly, you're going to need a few things. You're going to need a builder's wand, and inside that builder's wand, or just in your inventory, you're going to need an infinite dirt wand. Now the infinite dirt wand is a pretty cheap item. The builder's wand, on the other hand, can be slightly expensive. It costs bits, but it's also buyable in the auction house. The other thing you're going to need is the block zapper. So without further ado, and a compactor if you want it. Without further ado, let's go ahead and show you guys how to farm the farm. So all you're going to do is go to the end, so your north or your south end, and you are just going to start zapping. Now you can zap once every second. There's a slight cooldown. So you just zap your way along, and that's it. You just continue to zap. Now, there is one very important thing that I'm going to show you in a second, and this is kind of the big thing that allows this farm to work besides the whole lighting issue that I talked about before. So your zapper is now temporarily fatigued. So after you hit about 19, 20-ish of these guys, and that's about 150k, so that's not bad at all. You can also sell it raw, which will allow you to make a little bit more money, I think, but I like the convenience of being able to have the enchanted form. So once your zapper is temporarily fatigued, you just need to go to the hub and you need to break some blocks. Now these potato blocks are kind of the closest. The only important thing is that it needs to be 4 seconds. So you have to wait 4 seconds before you break these blocks in order for it to count. And then you just go back to your island. And I've set up some teleport pads here to make it even easier, and you can get back to zapping your mycelium. So how much money does this make you? Well, stick around and we'll test it. So here we go. We're going to start a 20-minute test right now, and I will let you know. All right, guys, so we've gone ahead and farmed our farm for 20 minutes, and that included at least one replanting session. I forgot to switch on the day saver from the night saver when I was doing that. So one important thing to note is when you are putting the dirt back in, you want to switch to the night saver, and when you're done that, you want to go back to the day saver so that the mycelium will spread. We farmed almost the whole farm in about 20 minutes, and if we check how much we made from the bazaar, we're going to go ahead and fill this. So it's about 3.5 million in 20 minutes, works out to about a little over 10 or about 11 million in an hour, which is actually probably the best possible money you can make for farming. So I think that I found something better than farming, even though it doesn't actually grow crops. Now, of course, this will go down in price if a lot of people are doing this method, but the farm's pretty complicated to build, so I'm sure that some people probably will avoid it. In addition, I don't think that corrupt soil will be going away anytime soon as a great method, but if it does, that will also decrease the price of mycelium. And finally, there is eventually going to be a point where everybody has bought corrupt soil, but that point probably won't be anytime soon. All right, guys, so to recap, there are a few different things that you need to know in order to make this farm work. First is you want to have a layer at the top that is not reachable by any light if it's nighttime. So you can do this by making a wall around the edges if you have light next to the side, and you can do it by making it at the very top of your island. Then second, you want to be able to switch from day savers to night savers. Day savers whenever you want mycelium to spread, and night savers when you want to replant dirt so that it's not respreading and ruining your ability to Builder's Wand. Next thing you want to remember is that if you want to split your farm, you need to use an opaque block here in order to be able to maintain dirt instead of mycelium there. And you do want at least one side of your farm, ideally two if you split it in two, to have an opaque block above a dirt. And that's really it. The other last thing that you should remember is that you want glowstone in order to help mycelium to spread because it spreads better with light. And finally, and probably most importantly actually, you want to remember how to reset the block zapper, which is by going to the hub, waiting 4 seconds, and breaking any block. These potatoes here do a wonderful job for that purpose. And finally, I'd recommend teleport pads just because if we are building this at world height, it can be a real pain to travel there. All right, guys, that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and comment below if you have anything to add.